when I was started being more sexual anyways, like in my 20s, that's when, the internet started coming alive, right? So like you have the gay.com and the grinders and stuff like that. So so even then you really see kind of how people segregate themselves and how they have their preferences and whatnot, right? The dating apps and stuff like that. And all that kind of came ahead like on the social media apps and on the dating apps.
No femmes, black rice.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. It's very specific.
No fried rice or rice.
That was back in the early days of Grindr.
No, you used to say that.
Like they would say that.
Profiles
specifically.
And, like, post it.
Yeah, they would post it in the profile, and that was very explicit sexual racism, and that felt, and it's still happening, unfortunately. And people, use they like to use like, oh, that's a preference, like you can't really choose how you, right? Like, I don't really subscribe to that, like, but like it's better now because like they don't actually explicitly say it, but it's still happening. But back then, it was very like hurtful, like when you actually see those messages explicitly like stated out there and like listed, and you're like, it compounds to the fact that you're not only gay, right? Like feel like you're already like not a part of normal society, and your family might not like be accepting you, but your own community was just saying they don't want you, they, like because of your skin color, of who or your culture. You can't do anything about it. Like I'm not gonna be changed. Like I can't be white. I can't be this or can't be that.
But it's crazy.
Yeah, right. And so you feel an extra layer of rejection, and you feel extra layer of like, is there something wrong with me? Yeah. It's like, am I not doing something right? Right. So, but I would say like it's changing. Like a lot of that have been improving, and it goes back to the saying like it does get better. And it's the change starts within our community, and you, like I said, you still see that, but like I can see the change.
I wanted to relate to the fact that like when I lived in Calgary and was going out, and like initially I was just like, okay, well, yeah, rainbow flags, like cool, everybody's gonna be like really nice because that's how I thought it was. And so then I go out and on like gay.com or like Manhunt or whatever it was like back then, and just that feeling of like, oh, I'm not really into like brown guys. And I remember hearing those words and then saying it's a preference. And I remember my initial reaction was one of like anger, right?
Yes.
So, but the thing was, when you feel the anger and then someone says to you, it's just a preference. In my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. I guess it's just a preference. Because like at that time, you're just at that time when being white was what was attractive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what it was. You know what I mean? That's all I had, right? So then I was like, okay, yeah. And then I would quell the anger. And then I was just like, okay. And then I would just be like, okay, yeah, I guess it's just like a preference. And then like kind of like internalizing that in that sense of like, okay, so then that means there's something wrong with me. That means because I'm not white, that means I'm lacking something. Like I'm inherently flawed. Not only am I gay, but I'm inherently flawed because I'm not white.
Yeah.
So then it wasn't when I came to Toronto, then and I started working for ASAP, then there's people talking about sexual racism. I'm like, oh my God, it's a thing?
Yeah.
Like I had no idea. I'm like, I would get so angry, and then like I remember going on like a date once, and it was just like coming out of me, like this anger, and then feeling like bad about it after. I'm like, oh no, I'm like, people just like have their and then I'm like, and then when people were writing articles and stuff on it and would talk about like, oh, like no fats, no femmes, Asians, blacks, all those kinds of things, and I was just like, okay, so that is racist. You know what I mean? But at that time it wasn't, and I think and the thing was, because I inherently felt inferior because I was brown. Then I'm like, okay, so I have to make sure my body looks a particular way in order to make up for my
being in. I saw it. I could see people I've grown up with, and it's funny because like I know we didn't talk all the time, but like, we always see each other.
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw you one day like this, and then all of a sudden, and I right away I guessed.
Yeah.
I was like, these fucking bitches. I was like, these fucking people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but you look great, obviously. But I was just like, I just knew. And it pissed me off because I knew. Because it's like, you almost have to look like the white guy. So let's get the muscles and everything.
How do I get closest to that? And
how do I get to be seen again?
Exactly. And it was like that sense of like whenever I would go into spaces, because I remember I started like go-go dancing and stuff around that time. And my main thing was just like, I want to take up space in those places.
Yes.
So then you would have to, so I remember going through like the body transformation or whatever, and then that being, but then once I like kind of like achieved that, but it was just after some time there's a sense of emptiness because it's based on, it's rooted in the fact that I'm not good enough. It's rooted in that. And so then that's gonna keep doing that until I'm realized that like, no, I was good then and I'm good now. My body just like looks different. You know what I mean? And then, but yeah, just making up for that inferiority that we like internalize, right? Is so real.
Crazy.
It's so real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so then, coming here, that was like that whole ownership of just like people of color always have to work through layers. You know what I mean? It's just not simply just because, oh yeah, like you're gay and like now you can just come out. And I'm like, no, like there's layers. We can't just go down just like that one pathway. There's always, you have to go, exactly. You have to go through all of it.
You even said it too. You did it too.
Yeah.
Right?
I definitely related on the whole being desired. And I think when I did gain the weight back up and was now a bear for the gays, you know, that was a hard image to accept. You know, it was a lot, because I saw myself as one thing for like almost 3 years, and then I gained the weight, and seeing those curves back up again flared up a trigger in me because I'm like, I'm not attractive enough anymore.
Yeah.
I'm too feminine and I'm too blah blah blah, and part of me liked that. I really enjoyed my curvy side. I really enjoyed my feminine side. So then I was like, fuck this shit, I'm just gonna do me now. And I started wearing feminine lingerie and I started like posting it online, and that's when the hate started coming in. But the best part is, when I started doing that, another community started building up.
Yeah.
The ones that could find it sexy or could find it relatable. And that's when I'm just like, I'm not doing it for the haters now. I'm just doing it for people that I really want to showcase and are going to be admiring it.
We're all lucky to be in Canada, but Canada's also very lucky to have us in it. Like, we're bringing all of our cultures in it, we're changing it, you know.
Mr. Edward.